Hi, I'm Josh Winger with the Holston Valley Baptist Association, and I'm excited to talk to you today about VBS and music. The first thing, and maybe arguably the most important thing, is to know your purpose, to know your why. Why do we do VBS? Why are you doing VBS? Why am I doing VBS? And the first thing that is most important is to share the gospel. VBS is designed to teach and to share the gospel to everyone in our communities. And how do we do that? We do that through reinforcing biblical truth. And that's where we come in. We're the reinforcements. The music team is the reinforcements to what the Bible teachers are teaching during that time. Sometimes you have music before the Bible teaching, sometimes after. But our job is to reinforce those biblical truths that have been planted into the minds and hearts of the children that we have the opportunity to serve and to work with. And so we make this music and Bible connection. Each song has some sort of connection to what is going on in that day's Bible lesson. And so it's our job to pull out those biblical truths and make those biblical connections to the music that we're teaching that day. With that said, it's important to know, in terms of purpose, the difference between two things: knowing the music and understanding the biblical truth. A lot of times when I think about VBS music, I think about, I got to get the kids ready for the end of week. They might be performing some of these songs for their parents. And the reality is this: if the students go home simply knowing the music, we haven't really done our job, because it's not necessarily just about knowing the music. It's about making those biblical connections and understanding the biblical truths. After all, going back to this point, the first point is that you have to know your purpose. And our purpose is continue to water and plant those seeds of understanding. So when I'm stopping in the middle of a rehearsal or in the middle of my time in music, and I say, oh, the ABCs, and I'm talking about what it means to accept, believe, and confess, that time is time well spent. And the reality is, if you don't have the perfect performance at the end of the week, that's not the point. It's so much more than memorization and motions. And sometimes we spend so much time in music focusing on this concept of, are they memorizing it? Are they doing the motions? When the end goal is really about sowing those biblical truths and ultimately about sharing the gospel. So the first point is, we have to know our purpose, and that's to share the gospel and to reinforce those truths that are being planted through the Bible teaching. Point number 2, be prepared. I feel like this is the most obvious one. However, I think there are some things that we sometimes forget or neglect. The first one being yourself. Make sure that you're prepared. I need to make sure that I'm prepared myself. And that starts through prayer and devotion. When we understand our purpose, as we talked about to start, it's much easier to prepare. Because if I already know my why, which is to share the gospel through the music of VBS, then it's much more easy for me to prepare myself through prayer and devotion. My devotion, sometimes with the VBS material comes some sort of devotional material, and I love to work through that so that I can prepare my heart, I can prepare my mind. But you have to think of every aspect of preparing yourself. Setting aside time to study, setting aside time to learn, setting aside time to figure out what you're going to do. And so a part of being prepared is also going through your materials. For music, there are quite a few materials. We have videos, we have lyric slides, we have CDs, we have split tracks, we have paper music, we have all kinds of things. So getting your music out, getting your CD out, getting that DVD out that has some videos and some other lyric videos, there's a lot of materials to cipher through and figure out, what am I going to use? When am I going to use it? How am I going to use it? How am I going to utilize these things? There may be some things that you set aside and not use. But one of the ways that you need to be prepared is by finding which materials are you going to use and how are you going to utilize them. Some things that you might pass on to a sound tech person or somebody that's running the slideshow for you. And we'll talk about that with the teams a little bit later. But you have a lot of materials to work through. So taking a look at the materials and picking out, making sure you know what you need, when you need it, and getting things to who needs it. The next thing is the music. There is music, and you have to learn it. I have to learn it, you have to learn it, we all have to learn it. Part of being prepared is knowing the music. And I heard this point made, and I thought it was a great one. This doesn't mean that you're just listening to your music in your car. And that can be a way that we learn music. But there is so much more to it. There is so much more time that needs invested in learning the music. Learning the music, knowing how long is the introduction, are there breaks in between? There's a whole breakdown. So I want to give you a few tips to teaching the music as you learn it and as you prepare for your lessons. You want to break down the verses and the choruses. A tip that I would give you, something that I like to do, is write down the time in my music when the chorus happens, so that I can jump straight to that section of a song. Maybe I want to start with the chorus and I want to jump straight to that section, so I know the time in which to start the CD so we can listen just to that part. Or I want to listen to the second verse and say, oh, here's a biblical truth that I want to pull out of it. Know the time and write those times into your music so that you can cue it up. Or if you have someone helping, they can cue it up. Mark your music. As you're listening to the CD, I love to look at the music. I love to try singing along the best that I can. And, that part was hard. So I'm going to circle it or mark it, put a check there to check it, go back and check it. This part was hard. This part was easy. The reality is the parts that are easy for you are probably also going to be easy for the kids. And the parts that are hard for you are probably also going to be hard for the kids. Which brings us to motions. Motions can be a great aid in learning the music. One of the things that you can do with motions is you can talk through the lyrics and do the motions along the way. This can help reinforce, when I do this motion, I say these lyrics. For instance, the Jesus sign language is one of every time I'm doing this, I know that the word is Jesus. And so sign language is one of the things that's utilized in terms of motions, but many motions help you to get the lyrics and memorizing them and also getting them with the rhythm. So breaking down some of those things, maybe speaking through some things, maybe I'm singing something and they're singing back to me. Maybe sometimes I'm singing something and I'm having them listen. Maybe I'm having them sing and I listen. There are a lot of different ways that you can break it down. And so you want to make sure that you have all of those things in terms of preparation for the music. Also, another way that you can prepare is you can prepare through Bible stories. The Bible stories for each day, you need to know them. And the reason why you need to know them is because, what is our purpose? Going back, it's to reinforce the biblical truths that they are learning in their Bible study time. So how can I reinforce these biblical truths? Well, guess what? The music, the lyrics, they go hand in hand. And so we're singing through a song. Oh, what story is that from in the Bible? Does anyone know? Somebody raises their hand and they share because they've already learned about it. Or maybe you're doing music before the Bible lesson and you say, here's a song, this song that we're going to do today, you're going to hear the story about it. Let me give you a quick preview. And you can give a quick preview of the Bible story. But having this as part of your preparation, knowing the Bible story for each day is really important so that you can, going back to our purpose, tie those in and make sure that you get those biblical connections to the music that you're learning that day. Sometimes I also know that music works a little bit ahead, so that's okay too. It is okay to review, it is okay to introduce, all of those things, but I would encourage you again, in terms of being prepared, make sure that you know the Bible stories for each day. So you're not singing a song out of context. You have the context in which the song was for. And the last thing is have a plan. Have a lesson plan, but be flexible. Well, students and kids love structure, though they will never ever admit it. So this is what I want to start with, this is what I want to do next, and this is how I want to end. And so when do I want to tie in the Bible story? When do I want to, maybe you want to review a memory verse. When do I want to remind them of yesterday's song? Maybe as the kids are coming in, you're playing yesterday's song and saying, let's sing that song one more time before we get to the new one today. And so you can have some sort of layout. And time is dependent. Everybody has a different time frame. Sometimes people may only have 15, 20, 25 minutes for their music time. So you have to make those fit your schedule and have some sort of structure that fits what you're trying to get across. But having that lesson plan can be very helpful. And this is not this ironclad thing where I can't break away. For instance, if I am going back to the ABCs, and I'm talking about confess can be a little bit of confusing, because in the context that we're talking about it, accept, believe, and confess, when we talk about confessing, we're talking about confessing our faith or telling others about our faith. And so I might have a conversation about that for 5 minutes, and I didn't get to something that was in my lesson plan. But that would be more important to me to talk about professing our faith and sharing our faith with others. And so, again, going back to, what is your purpose? So not only do we have to recognize our purpose, we also need to be prepared. And the next thing, number 3, prep your team. And you might be looking around saying, I got a team? Great question. I hope that you have some people that you can surround yourself to help you, because this might come into the worship rally, but the sound, the slides, those are 2 things in particular. It's really hard for me to adjust mics and hit the slide button and sing and lead everybody at the same time. So prep your team. This is really important. And I highly encourage you, talk to these people as early as you can. Recruit them as early as you can. And regularly remind them. You might ask somebody 2 months before, hey, can you do sound for VBS this year? Here's when it is. And you might need to remind them a few Sundays later, hey, you still good for VBS? And so that leads us to our first thing. You need to enlist a team. And part of this prepping your team involves enlistment. Target people who are passionate about the things that you're involved with VBS, with music, with sound and tech. Ask leaders for recommendations. Youth leaders could be a great resource, and other leaders in your church could be great resources in pointing you in the direction of people that might be helpful to you. Also, the sound guy, the guy that's running the slides every Sunday at church. Who are these people? Get connected with them. Maybe they've already been enlisted, but you still want to make a connection with them to make sure that they're on board. Who else might you enlist? Maybe you are enlisting other people to help in the classroom. Maybe you have a few people for the worship rally to run the sound and to do the slides. But when you get to your room for the worship rally, if you're in a room, maybe you're still in the sanctuary. But whatever the case, it's a lot to balance if you are balancing a lot of different tech things. And so enlisting people to help is really, really important. And so finding these people to surround yourself with to help you to be successful in what our purpose is, sharing the gospel. Maybe there are some youth that can help. I know that some of the youth might be your best people with emotions. They might have the most energy, but you also have to think about, when you're enlisting people, who is someone that would be comfortable getting in front of everyone that's a VBS and doing the motions and singing along. Those are things that you need to take into consideration. Not only do you need to enlist these people, sometimes we do a great job. All right, I got this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. They're all enlisted. They're all going to help. Woo! And maybe you're excited about all those things, but that's not the end. The next thing that you need to do is equip. You need to train these people, these people that you've enlisted, and you need to also communicate some sort of expectations. What are your expectations for each person? When do you need them to be there? Are there any practices? Did they need to know the music ahead of time? I hope so. What are some things that you expect of these different people that you have enlisted and brought onto your team? So a part of prepping your team is that you need to not only enlist them, but you need to equip them. Maybe that means you need to make sure that all of them have copies of the music, including the sound and tech crew. Also, your expectations. You are expecting, maybe you have some youth helpers, you're expecting them to be at every day of VBS. You need to make sure that that's really clear, because there might be, well, I have this or I have this. Make sure that you have those commitments ahead of time. And what roles will they be playing and what things will they be doing? Not only do you need to enlist your team and equip your team, you also need to encourage and empower your team. And what does that look like? It first of all looks like this. Thank you for helping. What you do is making a difference in the kingdom. And I don't think that we make those comments or compliments enough. We are not in this alone. Thank goodness. Thank God. Praise God that we're not in this alone. We are in this together. And so encouraging one another in this is really important. Also, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. It can be that sort of thing. Reminding us of our purpose. And our purpose is the gospel. Our purpose is sharing Christ with others. And so encouraging each other in the gospel. Lastly is to empower. Empower your team. And empowering your team means giving them opportunity. Maybe you have, and that's an opportunity to get up front and lead. Maybe that's opportunity to change the slides or to run the sound. Giving people opportunity is a way that you can empower your team. So we've covered 3 so far. First of all, you need to prepare yourself. Secondly, you need to, the first one is that you need to know your purpose. Know your purpose. That is first and foremost. Secondly, you need to prepare yourself. Third, you need to prep your team. And last thing, if you do all 3 of these things, the last thing is to do your thing. And that might sound a little cheesy. It is. Do your thing. Just do it. Be authentic. Be you. Part of this, understanding your purpose and being prepared and surrounding yourself with others, preparing your team, prepping your team, is that when you do all of those things, you have empowered yourself to be you, to do your thing, to be authentic. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this. I know, and I know all the music. I know the Bible stories. I have all my tech set up and all my tech is prepared. I have this team of wonderful people to help me out in sharing the gospel. Now I can just let the Holy Spirit and God work through me. Dear Lord, please work through me today. Be you. The next thing is to be engaging. This involves energy and enthusiasm. Energy and enthusiasm are contagious. If you're not engaging, then the message that we're sharing is not going to come across. And this might bring some of us a little bit out of our comfort zone, especially maybe if it's in a worship rally. I might do pretty good in a classroom, but in front of everyone. And so prepare yourself so that you can do those things, be authentic, be engaging, have that energy and enthusiasm. And with that comes modeling it. The students, the kids that we have, they are a mirror of us. And so you get what you give. So if I'm giving energy, a lot of times I'm going to get energy back. If I give enthusiasm, I'm going to get enthusiasm back. If I shout out that motto and they shout it back, that's what you're going to get. All right, the Bible lesson for today or the song for today is, let me look. I don't remember what the song is. Oh, yes, it is Dig. Okay. All right, boys and girls, it's time to dig. and then that's what you get back. And so all of those prep work gives you the freedom to let God work through you, for you to be authentic, to be engaging, to model, and lastly, to connect. Our job in sharing the gospel is such a personal thing. It changes our hearts personally. It changes our lives. And so for us to have the opportunity to ask questions, what are we learning? What is this song teaching us? Maybe you have an opportunity to share a personal story or a testimony. Share how this song or this lesson has spoken to your life. You have this opportunity to connect with the students through these songs, through these Bible stories, through your personal testimony, and through your salvation experience. And what an opportunity to do this. And so in closing, I just want to remind you quickly of our 4 points, and that is to know your purpose. And that purpose is to share the gospel and to reinforce biblical truth. The second thing is to be prepared in many different ways. Prepare yourself, prepare spiritually, prepare the music, prepare all of the tech stuff that you might have, all kinds of stuff to prepare the Bible stories and the Bible studies. The third thing is to prep your team. And that involves enlisting and equipping and encouraging and empowering. And then lastly is do your thing. If you do those first 3 things, it's so much easier to do your thing. Lastly, I'd like to say that I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions or you need any help organizing or working through ideas or planning. If you have any questions, if you need anything, let me know. I'm a teacher and I have summers off, so I can help a little bit as we get into the summer. I'd love to help. I'd love to see what you are doing and how God is using you in VBS this summer. And I know, don't be stressed there. It looks a lot of different ways, and I just pray that you are encouraged and that you're empowered in this time as you prepare your heart, as you prepare your mind. My email is jrwenger20@gmail.com. jrwenger20@gmail.com. It's been a blessing to get to share with you. Again, I'm excited to see and hear about what God is doing through your VBS. Let me close in a word of prayer. Lord, I thank you for this time to just prepare and talk about how you can work through us, how you can work through your word as it is put into music and song form. Help us to prepare for VBS this year and know that you are going to do a work in our lives and in our churches, Lord. I pray a special blessing on each leader as they prepare and each heart that will hear your gospel through VBS this summer in our association. I thank you for this opportunity to be glorifying you through Vacation Bible School. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Thank you.